So David, if we're thinking about the transaction landscape, is the UK easier or more difficult than Europe to fulfil a transaction these days?
Well, certainly for UK people, the UK is a known quantity, but that's the problem when you're going into a different jurisdiction. You have to face laws, investment laws, corporate laws, property ownership laws, employment laws that you aren't familiar with, and you have to get your head around. I mean, for major brands, the way to kind of put one toe in the water is typically to do a franchise, and maybe 1 foot in is a management contract, and then both feet in the water is when you actually go in and take over ownership. Just by way of example, employment laws in places like Belgium and France are much more difficult for the employer than they are in the UK, and are much more protective of the employees. You'll find that terminating an employee, even if they're incompetent, can create a massive payout. That's something that has to be faced. And with ownership, if you just go in with both feet with ownership, you're subject to the kind of full, complete array of laws in your operation and development. If you go in, as I said, as a franchise or management contract, you can use your choice of law clause in the agreement to keep it under English law and an agreement that you're more familiar with. So the degree of risk and the degree of is really gets greater the further you go into the investment. And
okay, no, it's helpful.
Yeah. I saw there's quite a helpful, I can't remember which law firm it was, but they put out a kind of a football league of jurisdictional risk for creditors. So as a bank, I was quite interested in it. And you kind of in your Premier League in terms of creditor protection, so i.e. bank friendly, you've got the UK and Ireland and Netherlands, and you kind of then go into, forgive the football analogy, but if you then go into the championship, you've probably got Germany maybe, but then you start moving fairly quickly down into the relative Diodora League when it comes to Italy and France and Greece, and I think the point is that for example, Europe is so diverse. Is the point that if you're a UK bank going into Europe, from a lending perspective, a lot of it is relatively negative compared to what is your 325-year-old market, your domestic market. Conversely, for a number of banks who want to either invest or indeed lend into the UK, it's absolutely amazing because they've suddenly found they've got a whole range of instruments available to them that in their domestic markets are not there. So, this whole perspective is an important one.